This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, getting you ready for today's sports day.
3 of the first 4 games have been at home, so at some point in time you're going to have to venture outside the 806, so that'll start this week.
While having a little fun along the way.
Always good if you can blame it on somebody else, right?
Yeah, sure.
Especially some media guy.
Sure. Right, some media guy.
Catch the show live weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
I was in a meeting the other day, and clearly I was the senior statesman in this meeting, and we were discussing an event that was coming up, and I said, people just we got to make it easy for people, and if they just want to write a check and make it go away. And then I looked around the room, and there's only really probably one person in the room that had it, probably knew where their checkbook was. I mean, mine was in my car, but I looked at 2 or 3 of them, and I said, "When's the last time you wrote a check?" And they're like, they laughed at me. Don't know. I don't even know if I have one. So I was like, okay, I got it.
I don't know where the checkbook is. I have written checks recently because every once in a while I'll ask my wife for a check. I usually keep one in my wallet at all times too.
That's probably a good idea. Just in case you need one.
But I don't know where the checkbook is in our house. She has it somewhere.
I get it.
And if I need it, she'll tell me. And she'll tell me if I'm allowed to need it or not.
That's the rest of that. That's the rest of that story. What do you need this for? What are you doing? Why are you doing that? So anyway, it's just sometimes change is hard, Jamie. Getting caught up with everything. I do have a debit card. I do have a credit card. I do know how to pay things online. I've accelerated my talents, my technology.
It's exciting.
Yeah. I had a Venmo account, and then it got hacked, and some Heinz took money from me, but I was able to get it back.
That's not exciting.
That was not exciting.
Mm-mm.
So now I get these...
Kind of the excitement that you don't want.
No. It was like... It was one of those deals, too, where it's like... It was one of those things where I got a phone call that said, "Did you attempt to do this? Hit yes or no." And I hit no. And it was one of those deals where it seemed like no meant yes and yes meant no. Because then immediately, money started flying out of my account. Whoa. Yeah, that's no bueno.
No means no, Chuck.
No means, in my mind, no means no, right? But that was not necessarily the case. Do you have a Venmo account, Jeff?
I do not.
You do not. That's probably wise.
I don't have a credit card either.
Even probably wiser.
Well, the ability to pay one off is sometimes a lot difficult when you work in radio, so it's just better not to have one.
I understand.
Jeff's smart. He doesn't put himself into debt.
No, yeah.
That's smart.
I get myself into enough trouble. I try to avoid the ones I can.
Right. Mm-hmm. Avoid the ones you can't. Tonight we'll have the high school.
He knows that he would buy so much gaming equipment that it would be unstoppable. He would have the coolest gaming house ever.
I really wouldn't. If I had unlimited funds, yes. Mm-hmm. But even if I had an unlimited credit card, I know I've got to pay that back.
It's usually how it works.
And
usually. Not
sure.
necessarily. There's a whole bunch of people in this world that don't really understand
Choose not
that.
to do that, yeah.
Right, but this is me with my bad luck.
Yeah.
I'd be the guy the DA makes a case out of.
This from Mike. He says, sometimes people look at me when I pay in cash. Yeah, I know. The best thing to do sometimes is go somewhere and have them, and they ask them to count back the change to you. They can't do it.
Yeah, that's just kind of the way of the world.
It
Not
is.
being really good with math.
Yeah. Let's see here. High school fan zone tonight on 100.7 The Score. Coaches from Friendship and Lubbock Cooper. Friendship will be in action this week. They'll take on Midland down in Midland at Grande Communication Stadium. 7 o'clock to kick. Our coverage at 6:30, and of course we'll have it on the Double T 97.3 mobile app. And then the Lubbock Coopers are at home at their place, taking on Abilene. Not Abilene Cooper, they're just taking on Abilene. 2 is a 7 o'clock kickoff from the Pirates' home stadium. 7 o'clock The kick, 6:30, the broadcast time on 100.7 The Score. So be looking for that on Friday night. Of course, we'll have Friday Night Live after the game on Double T 97.3, and you can keep track of what's going on. All right, the head coach, Joey McGuire, met with the media yesterday, and let's just go through a couple of things here. Here first is his diagnosis for his quarterback, Baron Morton, as to his injury and comeback.
Rolled ankle. Yeah, his ankle sprain. And, he's a tough guy. It's tough because, a huge play in the game to where we don't get the first down. We run zone read, and it was right after he rolled his ankle, and, he doesn't pull it. And I think if he's, doesn't roll his ankle and play before he pulls it, we get the first down and we don't have to punt. And so, tough, but man, he's a tough guy. All three of them are. They've been banged up and they played through it.
Man, I sure would like to know what the outcome would have been without that rolled ankle. And I know that in every game there's maybe an injury or a tweak or a play or two, but it just felt like that game would have had a different outcome.
You were definitely better on offense when he can move around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question.
Yeah. Here is Coach McGuire, Dr. McGuire, on Donovan Smith and his diagnosis through the bye week.
Good. Threw really well today. Looked good in team. We had a team period, good on good, and then we had a team blitz, good on good, and he threw the ball really well today.
Now, Dr. McGuire, last patient for you to assess on your rounds this morning, quarterback Tyler Shuck.
It's tough. It's a difficult decision, but at the end of the day, my job is to put the guys out on the field that help us beat West Virginia. So it could be Donovan, it could be Baron, it could be Tyler, and I think you got to get ready for all three of them.
That's in relation to being ready for West Virginia.
Yeah, ready to go for West Virginia. So here's
could be Donovan, could be Tyler. Okay, so all right. So did you hear that the move at quarterback was partially about an injury? Do you believe that to be true?
With regard to Donovan Smith?
Yeah. Or do you believe it was solely based on performance?
I think Smith has an injury that would not allow him to make the throws that they felt like that he needed to make to
But a couple days later he can? Didn't he just say in their scrimmage he was making all the throws and looking good?
Yeah.
A couple days later, that's completely changed.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the severity of the injury was. I mean, you make a great point. I don't know. That's curious.
Because I took it as that it was partially about the injury, and I'm sure the fact that he had struggled factored into it as well. But I took it as partially about the injury, and I also took it that you didn't make a change at quarterback late when Baron Morton wasn't moving well. Because Donovan wasn't capable. Physically, he wasn't capable. Now that makes me think, why did we not change? I mean, if Baron can't move, he was struggling. But that doesn't sound like that's the case. If the next day he was able to be in a scrimmage
on Tuesday, yeah, making.
Well, that's
throws.
not the next day. That's
yeah.
Well, what day did they scrimmage that he was talking about?
Yesterday morning.
Okay. All right.
So they would have practiced yesterday morning.
So 2-3 days later.
Monday. They're off on Monday.
I don't know. Maybe 3 days makes a difference. I don't know.
It just seems curious because
it seems really curious.
You would have thought that based on what he looked like at the end of that game, that if Smith could have done anything, you would have put him in the game.
I would agree.
Your morning blend of sports.
K-State is coming off a big win over Oklahoma. Of course, the Red Raiders off their 37-34 overtime win over number 22 Texas.
And humor.
Sure to tell them that. You suggested that. And of course, that got a big laugh.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Time for this day in sports history. Here is Jeff McGuire.
1929 is where we will start off with the Chicago Cubs blowing an 8-0 Game 4 lead to the Philadelphia A's, who scored 10 runs in one inning to win 10-8. Fast forward to 1967, Baseball World Series. Lou Brock steals a World Series record 7 bases as the Cardinals beat the Red Sox 7-2 at Fenway Park for a 4-3 series win. Cards pitcher Bob Gibson, your MVP.
He stole 7 bases in one game and a playoff game. Wow, Chuck.
He was great. Lou Brock was just outstanding.
I wonder if any of them was a home. I mean, you got to get on base. You'd think at least 4 times to make that work, right?
Mm-hmm. It's
singles and walks.
It's impressive.
Surely didn't want to hit a double because then he couldn't steal second.
1968 in the 19th Summer Olympic Games are opening in Mexico City. It's the first Olympics held in Latin America.
Okay.
So we'll be getting some Olympic facts coming soon from 1968. 1977, the throwaway game. Catfish Hunter loses the World Series Game 1 6-1, resetting the Yankees pitching rotation.
What do you mean the throwaway game?
The manager called it a throwaway game because they were getting the pitching staff reset in 71 and 77. Like he wasn't worried about this one. He was getting his pitchers ready for the rest of it.
All I know is that they signed Catfish Hunter to be, really, really good, and he was. But okay.
1979, Boston Celtics guard Chris Ford scores the very first three-point basket in NBA history in the first quarter of a 114-106 win versus Houston at the Boston Gardens. There'll be another guy on that team making his rookie debut. You may have heard of him. His name was Larry Bird. You don't think it's cool that Larry Bird made his professional debut in the first year that the three-point shot took place? The very first game?
Perfect timing.
This is all I'm saying. And the fact that he didn't shoot it is a little weird to me. Also in 1979, on the other side of the country, future Basketball Hall of Fame forward Magic Johnson makes his debut for the Lakers at the San Diego Clippers. Lakers win 103-102. 1987, Minnesota Twins beat the Detroit Tigers 9-5 in the ALCS Game 5 at Tiger Stadium for a 4-1 series win. They would go on to win the World Series. And in 1989, Jimmy Johnson robbed the Minnesota Vikings. Like, completely. All of them. Every Viking there ever was. Herschel Walker traded to the Vikings for 5 players and 6 future draft picks, including Emmitt Smith, Russell Maryland, Kevin Smith, and Darren Woodson.
That was during the season?
During the season, yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, the Vikings thought that they were Herschel Walker away from getting to the Super Bowl. They mortgaged their future for what they thought was going to be a Super Bowl.
I would have never guessed that was during the season.
It is National Gumbo Day.
I'm a fan. Are you a fan?
I'm a fan.
No, thank you.
It's also National Pumpkin Pie Day.
Big fan.
1,000% no, thank you.
You want to come over next week when we're carving pumpkins?
No.
Okay.
No.
Happy birthday, Hugh Jackman, who's 54, Kirk Cameron, 52, and Charlie Ward, 52. Favorite stat about Charlie Ward? Heisman Trophy winner, never played in the NFL. Played in the NBA.
He did, with the Knicks.
And on this day in history, instead of talking about a guy who basically was sent to the grocery store to look for spices, got lost and found the rum aisle, never realized that he was in the wrong aisle in 1492. Let's look at an honest-to-goodness American hero from 1945. In April, the U.S. Marines were charged with taking Okinawa. The battle would last until June, but we're going to focus on just one day of that stretch. April 26th. They attack a ridge that was 400 feet high. To say the battle went badly for the Americans is an understatement, and a retreat was ordered. Surrounded by the enemy, one medic made the trip after trip from the edge of the ridge to the 75 wounded men in his company. Did I forget to mention that this guy never, ever carried a gun in combat? By now, you must know I'm talking about the conscientious objector, Private First Class Desmond T. Doss of Lynchburg, Virginia. Today, in 1945, he received his Medal of Honor for his actions on that
nice.
day.
Very nice.
And that is this day in sports history.
All right, time for a secret word. All right, so every day at this time, until I give you further notice, we'll give you a secret word at which you're instructed to go to doublet973.com. Enter the secret word. Okay? Enter the secret word, and then you could be qualified to win $10,000. You win it when we call your name, okay, on November the 18th. Highly appropriate, today's secret word at 6:51. We were just talking about this team, and I've got a follow-up note about this team. Our secret word today is Cardinals. 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 Those of you that listen to Tech Talk know it pronounced as Cardinals, but it's Cardinals. Cardinals. Dan Schulman is also, from ESPN fame, a Cardinal fat guy, as opposed to Cardinals. He's a Cardinal guy. Dan Schulman.
Okay.
And Aaron Dickens are in lockstep on the Cardinals. And I'm okay with it. I mean, it's his own little pronunciation. It's
become yours, too.
From time to time. I mean, I don't
pretty much every time you bring this Aaron Dickens story up.
Well, I might bring that up, but I don't say Cardinals every time. Just sometimes. Cardinals is your secret word at 6:45. Go to doublet973.com. You too could win $10,000 from Double T 97.3 in the home zone, where they make your house a home. Did you say that Brock stole 7 bases in one game, or for the series?
I have it as, I'm assuming it's one game, the way this reads.
Okay, in his bio, Brock hit for a .414 average in the 1967 World Series, scored 8 runs, and set a World Series record with 7 stolen bases as the Cardinals defeated the Boston Red Sox in 7 games.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be Mr.
No, you are, and it's fine.
No, I'm not. Just trying to make sure that
you're trying to let the facts get in the way of a good story, and that's fine. That's fair.
Well, I was just trying to be helpful, Chuck Heinz, this morning. Is that okay?
I said it's fine 4 times.
Oh, no, right.
Do I need to send a cake?
A cake? Do you have one?
It's fine.
Do you have one to send?
No, but I can try to get one made.
What kind of cake would you like this morning, Jimmy? Chocolate with white icing with little sprinkles on top?
Chocolate cake is not my favorite.
Okay.
I'd rather have a cookie cake.
A cookie cake? Mm-hmm. Can you get us a cookie cake?
I'll make a phone call.
6:53 this morning here.
It's fine. I'm on top of it.
Do I get to deliver it?
Well, we're going to have it delivered.
I might be eating a cookie cake full of face, right?
No, I just meant that I would have to leave to go get it. I'm not wasting a cookie cake on your face.
I saw this the other day. This was from yesterday, on this day in history yesterday. And it just, I'm always fascinated by this, and we've probably talked about this guy before. In 1890, the first 100-yard dash under 10 seconds was run by a guy by the name of John Owens, 9.8, in an AAU track and field meet in Washington. 9.8 in 1890. We haven't really improved it that much. Nobody's run below 9.
No, they haven't.
I mean, it just goes to show you sometimes how, records stand up and over time. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
Some do.
Some do.
If you also break the world record in the 100-meter by more than 0.2 of a second, it's like groundbreaking news.
9.07 is the fastest 100-yard dash right now. Okay? And John Owens is not in the top 23, but in 1890 he went 9.8, tied for 23rd, a bunch of them at 9.37.
You're tuned in to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
That's not to say that they don't respect the run game that you have, but you're talking about one quarterback leading the conference in passing so far this year. And remember, he didn't start the first game.
All right.
Still played a lot, though.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
I just don't want to disappoint you. As much as I disappoint you, I don't want to disappoint you in some things that you expect from me.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Hey, good morning. It is the Morning Drive on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Nice to have you with us this morning. Take your thoughts and comments on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. The Benchmark hotline is open as well, 806-771-0973. We come to you this morning from the First United Bank Double T 97.3 studio. Are you liking the cooler temperatures?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm okay with it. I'm good with that time when it changes.
Makes the change, okay.
Yeah, something a little bit different.
Okay.
Sure.
I've enjoyed not running the air conditioner.
But then I get sad because I realize it'll be harder to play tennis outside.
Right, soon.
So, yeah, for about a week ago, the cold temperatures would be good, and then we get back to like 80. That'd be great.
Okay. Chop.
Could do that. That'd be awesome.
Get on that. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line with regard to my comment about John Owens, who ran a 100-yard dash. Chuck, they haven't run yards in ages. Yeah, I know. I'm aware. I was just thought I thought it was interesting, so we'll I'll file that back there, that they haven't run in ages. The Red Raiders are in the midst of their bye week. They will play West Virginia a week from Saturday. It's a 2 o'clock kick, and of course we'll have it on Double T 97.3. Our Optimum Game Day Live coverage begins at 7 a.m. Coach Joey McGuire was available yesterday after practice, and he was asked about the quarterback rotation, which right now it's Tyler Shuck, Donovan Smith, Baron Morton. Put any of the three in any order and shake it up in one of those little things like you do for dice and throw it out on the deal. And which one's going to come up as your number one QB? Here's Coach McGuire on the quarterback rotation.
Well, I want them all three on the field at the same time. We have some stuff that we had worked on all fall. We're not that with that set. No matter if they're all cleared, we're not there yet. We're for sure a Baylor game to get them all three on the field. But having packages, whoever the starter is going to be the starter. I hate rotating quarterbacks because guys that get in rhythm, you don't want to take them out of their rhythm. But I think you build packages based on what they do best and put that in the game plan to help you win games, and I think that's going back to where, Donovan does a great job throwing on the run, but also running the football, running quarterback power. Baron, you saw our tempo stuff last week. It was pretty impressive how fast he gets the ball out, and then just with Tyler, the decision making that, he puts us in some really good plays. So I think you kind of build around that.
Those are three distinct characteristics, for each quarterback, maybe in a single sentence, Jamie, when you think about it, of what Smith does or Morton does or what Tyler Shuck does.
Yeah, no, that's right.
And so of those three things, which in your mind is the most important? Let's just say everybody's healthy. Is it the decision making?
Well, if that leads to taking care of the football, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's what that kind of tells me, is it leads to taking care of the football. And that has been a problem for Donovan Smith.
No question.
I thought, and I think you and I talked about this a little bit on Monday, and it's just the naked, somewhat trained eye. I don't know. Well, I would say it's untrained. I think it's trained, but I mean, it's not necessarily, I've not had formal, film room study training from a head coach. It appeared to me that the tempo for the Tech offense was much faster than what we've seen at any time this year.
Does the tempo have to do with? Is that a decision by the quarterback, or is that a decision by the coaching staff?
That's a great question. But I mean, he just talked about the tempo and Morton's ability to get the ball out of his hands faster. Now there's two things.
That's not tempo.
No, there's two things there. But I mean, it just seemed the pace of the play was much faster with Morton than it was with Smith.
Okay.
And
I think it would be fair to say that Morton benefits from making the fast decision faster than having to maybe get paralysis by analysis of trying to read a long, extended, let's look at everything and try to figure things out, as opposed to make your read and go. Might play something into that.
Well, I've been on record as being frustrated over the last few weeks for Donovan, that it felt like when he had an opportunity to tuck and run, he didn't. And he stayed in the pocket too long. And so that's about making a quick read and about making, a quick decision and going. But at the same time, I think that, Donovan was not trying to leave the pocket too early, and he wanted to give the play a chance and not just have it be all about his running ability. It's funny because what we saw from Donovan is the same thing that we saw from Henry Columbia, when I felt like when first inserted into the lineup, they were quicker to run and take, 5, 6, 8 on the ground, and all right, we'll be okay with that. But the longer they were out there as the starter, the longer they held the ball in the pocket and didn't make those quick decisions. And I think we saw the same thing from those two, Columbia and Donovan, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with Barron, if Barron's now the guy again. I'm not sure. I don't want to. I thought Barron looked terrific this week. There's no question. And if both of them are healthy, and I was picking the starting quarterback, Barron would be starting over Donovan this week. Okay. And so if they were playing a game, and they're not. But I just also feel like Barron, maybe we're a little bit jumping to conclusions a little bit with Barron as the savior, when, okay, let's let defenses now react to him. We've got a little film on him. Let's see what... Kind
of like a pitcher that comes in. You've not seen him before?
Yeah, let's see, because we've seen great games from Donovan too, and then him struggle in other games. And so... I feel like before we say one is just so much better than the other, I think we need to see a bigger sample size to make that determination.
Okay.
Yeah.
This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I understand hurrying to catch the other team not ready, etc., but I feel like it's hurt us more times than not because we're too rushed. Thoughts?
I don't think it's the rushing to the line of scrimmage that hurts us. It's what we're trying to do when we get to the line of scrimmage in a hurry, which is usually what? Run the ball right up the middle. And how well have we run the ball right up the middle this year?
We have not.
Terribly. Okay. So I don't think it's us trying to rush to the line of scrimmage. I think it's that we can't run the ball up the middle. So rush to the line of scrimmage and do something different, and we'll probably all feel differently about the tempo thing.
Okay. 7:09 this morning here on the Morning Drive. If you have thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line, hit us up on the Double T 97.3 mobile app. It's presented by Happy State Bank. Benchmark hotline is open as well. It will be
so many things. I mean, like in that situation where you're like, call a different play, or we're like, run the ball quicker, or throw the ball faster, get rid of the ball quicker. I mean, all of these things. Be better on the offensive line, and we're not talking as much about these things. Be better on the offensive line. Period. And we're not talking about these things. And
that's hard to fix in season.
I feel like you're asking the girl to be prettier, Jamie. You can't necessarily make the girl prettier on a day, but you can do different things with the girl.
Okay, well, I'm just saying all of these things happen when you can't block up front.
Getting your sports day started the right way. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, breaking down the biggest games.
If Texas Tech does not win the Big 12 football conference, who are you rooting for to win the conference? if Tech does not win it this year.
While busting some chops along the way.
I hold back on sending you stuff. I mean, I'm very, very, very judicious.
We spend 3 hours a day, 5 days a week
I know.
together. Why would we need to communicate during the weekends?
Right,
Save it for the show.
We do. We save it for the show.
Tune into the Morning Drive live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
I think I said question of the game.
What game are we playing?
You absolutely said question of the game.
Yeah, I know.
This is a game.
What game are we playing? We're playing a just game of dominoes. Okay. Do you ever play dominoes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We do as a family.
Don't you think Jenga would be a better appropriate thing where we're trying not to have the whole tower fall?
We got a Jenga. I played Connect 4 with an almost 3-year-old last night, and I lost. But I had to show him how to. Hey, you need to block me right here. Okay, I'll block you. I'll block you. And so, and then finally he understood that he thought 5 in a row, and I was like, no, 4 in a row. 4 in a row.
Yeah, otherwise that would be Connect 5.
He was trying to make it harder. So
you can play Connect 5.
Every time I play that game, I just want to make a red double T. That's all. That's it.
Oh, okay. I had the red dots last night. He had the yellow ones.
I don't really care to win. I just want to make a double T.
Yeah. Okay.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
That's it.
I was just trying to. We were just trying to maneuver. The little ones.
Like,
it's a mini version of Connect 4.
I'm always like, let's get this game over with, so I can just have it and put the red ones where I want them and the black ones where.
All right, your question, sir.
My question of the game today.
Thank you.
We've spent a lot of time talking about quarterbacks this week and really all season long. And it's funny, I go back to the beginning of the season when we were talking about who has the best chance to, be a first-team All Big 12 member, or could be your MVP or whatever. And we couldn't pick the quarterback position because we didn't know who it was going to be.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I think that we're in the same boat now because you've now used all three of them. All three of them have started games for you. My question for you today, Chuck and Jeff, and our listening audience is, who's the first half MVP for the Red Raider football team? And I'm pretty sure none of us can say quarterback.
No.
Because, you've used three of them.
No. First, your overall MVP, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, right? Mm-hmm. Just one player.
I mean, you can give me a couple options if you want, but you gotta hang your hat on one of them.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go defense. I'm gonna say Krishan Merriweather. I think he's been really, really good for you this year. I mean, there's a part of me that wants to say Tyree Wilson, but I think Krishan has been more consistent over the 6 games.
Okay.
You have to go on defense. They have kept you in so many different games and put you in a position to win. Merriweather had to play the game against Texas that seals that win. So he's a great answer for this. But to have a different answer, Tyree Wilson. He has been an absolute beast on the defensive line, maybe enabling some of what Merriweather's been able to do because they've had to focus so much on Tyree. And he still continues to get the job done. I keep waiting for 4 guys to try to block him. That's kind of what I'm waiting for how
I think we saw a little bit of that this weekend where he was a little bit more quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was getting extra special attention.
Mm-hmm. Which helps you because then that allows somebody else to, have a bit of a mismatch, but they have to perform.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jamie, who's your MVP?
I think you guys both have nailed it. I think those are your 2 serious candidates, and I'm actually going with Tyree Wilson. I just think that dude has been good in the run game, but most especially is he's put pressure on the quarterback, and it's been huge for you, and it's opened things up for other guys, and they just have been big plays. 5.5 sacks so far this season.
8.5 tackles for losses.
Yeah, I mean he's been a big play guy. So I go with Tyree Wilson. I think Rashawn's a great answer as well. But who do you think you guys said when we talked about this at the beginning of the season? Do you remember
Price,
who you said?
I would say either Price or, thinking offensively, either Price or Sherrodrick is where I would have gone.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year.
I think I said Taj.
You might have said Taj.
Yeah.
I think defensively, we talked about those two guys, Rashawn and Tyree.
I would have guessed you would have said Tharp and Pierre.
Mason Tharp. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's going to be a day. There's going to be a day when he's in the National Football League and he is killing it. They'll be saying he got his start here at Texas Tech. I hope he kills. I hope he kills it. Next year and the years beyond. I hope he kills it the rest of this year. That'd be fun. Krishan's numbers: 31 unassisted tackles, 19 assisted. He has 1.5 tackles for loss, which is what he has for sacks. And like you said, I mean, Tyree has 5.5 sacks and 8.5 tackles for losses. A total of 37 tackles. But right behind those two guys, Kosai Eldridge and Dadrian Taylor Demerson, who I think has put together. Taylor Demerson has put together a nice year.
Sure.
For this team. And there's been other guys, obviously, that have as well. When you kind of look at the offense, you look at Price has been dinged up, but I mean the guys that seem to be kind of rising with a bullet would be Xavier White, Trey Cleveland, those two guys that have been, that are on the rise. Mm-hmm. Maybe in the Big 12.
Yeah, I think Xavier White's proven to be one of your best offensive players. I don't think there's any question.
He's caught 23 balls, 270 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Miles Price, for as much as he's been out, has caught 31.
Yeah, and I feel like it's been a disappointing season for him so far.
He probably would tell you the same thing, just because of the injuries and not being able to get open or get the ball to him or what have you.
I would say it's been disappointing for both of our running backs too, and I'm not saying that's 100% on them.
Sherrodrick has rushed for 64 times for 331 yards, and Taj 53 times for 224. Taj has more touchdowns. He has 4. Sherrodrick has 2, but his yards per gain is higher than Taj at 4.8. But man, you sure would like to have him rush the ball just a little bit more. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. What gets me with Mason Tharp is how come we haven't figured out how to run to the tight end side of the middle, and which results in positive yardage or a pass interference call every time. Maybe I don't understand this. Iowa State killed us with that in the red zone a few years ago. Their tight end was damn near unstoppable.
Yeah, I agree. I when you see Mason Tharp and you see Cup and you start drooling over their potential, you think about the way that Iowa State, Kansas State have used tight ends over the years and how big of a factor they've been. Seems like in the red zone and then also just down the seam with play action. Mm-hmm. Those guys have been huge. And so I think, we all bought in or got excited about it. Anytime there's a good tight end on campus, I think we get overly excited because it's something different for us. And we know how much other teams have hurt us, and with a tight end. So I don't know. I hope that changes and we get to see them be more of a part of it. But obviously I don't think that's the coaching staff saying, we don't really want to use a tight end in the passing game. I mean, I just go back to Coach McGuire saying he felt like they haven't really performed as well as they need to.
This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We'll get to it after the boom, boom, boom. Chuck, can you give us a rundown of how Tech makes it to the Big 12 championship game? And Jeff, can you give us your rundown on how Tech makes it to the Big 12 championship game? JL, you don't get to play. You're too rooted in reality, and I know it would just hurt or be damn near impossible for you to find the path in your mind, so I'll give you a break.
I definitely have a Santa Claus help in this, but I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure it out.
Sorry.
Too rooted in reality. Wow.
My bad.
I think that speaks positively for you and not so much for Jeff and I.
You're listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
A little bit later on tonight, we'll have the Astros and the Diamondbacks. That'll be at 8. And then the Rangers playing at Seattle tonight.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
Was it pretty big?
Yeah, I mean,
was it impressive?
Yeah.
Was it fascinating?
It was. I thought it was fascinating. It kind of smelled, but I mean.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
It's nice to have you with us with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. We come to you from the First United Bank Double T 97.3 studio. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Benchmark hotline is open as well. Let me just read some of these, and then I want to get to a text that we had earlier, and Jeff's got, I think, the puzzle figured out here. Let's see. Take away the guy's sideline pass. See how he's able to sell his photos from the stands. Okay, well, I don't think that's going to happen. So if someone walks in front of you at the grocery store, does that give you the right to push them down? Come on, what are we doing? It's not all on the camera guy.
Nobody said it was all on the
Nobody
camera
said
guy.
that,
It's like 90% on Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Okay, the 10% is that guy not paying attention. Okay, and stop trying to compare the grocery store with an NFL player on a NFL sideline.
Yeah.
Those are not the same places.
No.
They don't compare, and neither does walking down the hall here at the office. They don't compare. Period.
I mean, you are told to have your head on a swivel when you're on those sidelines, especially during the game.
Yeah.
But even after the game, I mean, this is their office, all right? And you need to make sure that you are you need to go out of the way to stay out of the way.
That's exactly right.
You need to go out of the way to stay out of the way. So,
again, Devontae should not have pushed him. And Chuck is right. The guy deserves an apology. Probably, Devontae handled it in 2020's or 2022 style of on social media instead of 1975 style of let's be a man and admit a mistake and go face to face and apologize. And it probably would have changed things. But the fact that this guy is, claiming that he's hurt or claiming that Devontae owes him money, or which is what I think this is going to lead to, is ludicrous.
it is. It is. And,
it went from Devontae being not 100%, but Devontae being wrong to this guy being an idiot. That's now the story.
Making a mountain out of a molehill.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, like in 1975, in 2022, owning up to a mistake, saying I'm sorry face to face, if you're the person that has, let's just speak in generalities here, in being reasonable, if somebody does something that is wrong or is a mistake or causes you some angst, or an apology should still go an awfully long way. It doesn't get you out of the whole thing, but a face-to-face apology, I think, is still worth a whole lot, or at least an acknowledgement that, hey, I was wrong.
Yeah. And if I did push somebody down at the grocery store that stepped in front of me and they fell down and it didn't get hurt, I mean, do you think that they're winning a lawsuit against me? Probably not.
Yeah, you might.
Unless they knew that I was incredibly wealthy, right. And then they would be claiming they were hurt. Right. Okay?
There's
and I'm not incredibly wealthy, so nobody would claim that.
There's plenty of people that fake accidents as well.
Sure.
All right. 8:05 this morning on the Morning Drive. We got a text. Somebody wanting to know really mine and Jeff's thoughts, but Jamie deserves to be in this conversation because he's been more optimistic about this, not getting to the Big 12 championship game, but about being 7-5 or better for this football season.
Yeah, I'm the only one who has us at 7-5 now. Chuck has us finishing no better than 7th in the conference, which he may be right. Yeah. Okay. So I can pump some sunshine.
That's right.
I can be unrealistic with the best of them.
In my little scenario yesterday, I didn't include Texas Tech. And
he had everybody in the conference. He had TCU, he had Kansas, he had Kansas State, he had even the team that he hates with all of his being. He had, and Kansas too had them all finishing ahead of us.
Well.
You hate it when I listen, don't you?
I do.
You should try it sometime.
It's funny because it's funny because the Young Phenom's word of the day today. I write a word for him every day. I leave him a little note every day, and I underline it. And today was study hard and listen.
That's the word of the day?
His word of the day to concentrate on. Focus on something. Like yesterday was effort, okay? Yesterday was effort, I've had, being kind and cheerful and helpful. All those. Today was listen. So, maybe I should.
Anybody else surprised that Chuck's word of the day was 4 words?
Well, I underlined the one word for him to concentrate on, okay? He told me last night, only 2 lines. I only need 2 lines or circle it. So he coached me up about how to leave him a note, which, I really appreciate.
Oh, man, he's going to be a fun teenager.
I think he will be, I think he will be. All right, Jeff, your path to a Big 12 championship game.
Okay, so we need Oklahoma State to win out. I am conceding the number 1 seed because that helps the Red Raiders as we go forward with who Oklahoma State has left.
I already don't like this.
Tech finishes 9-3, so Tech goes undefeated the rest of the way.
Okay.
That gives them wins over TCU, Kansas State that need to get some losses to get to the 3 losses that they need. Kansas State needs to lose to TCU, Oklahoma State, Texas, and Baylor to have 4 losses. So Tech would have the 3 losses and be above Kansas State in the Big 12 standings. TCU would need losses to both Tech and Oklahoma State, which they still play, and Baylor, which gives them 3 losses. Tech has the tiebreaker over TCU with the head-to-head victory. Kansas would need losses to Baylor, Tech, and Oklahoma State, giving them 4 losses and completely out of the situation because they already have 1 on the season. Texas needs losses against Oklahoma State and TCU, giving them 3 losses. Tech has the head-to-head and ahead of them in the Big 12 standings.
Oh, he really thought this out, didn't he?
He did. I like his effort.
I think
that was yesterday's word of the day, right?
Yeah, effort.
Yeah,
I think that gets Tech a locked-in number 2 seed for the Big 12 championship game, with all of those different tiebreakers needing to break your way. And as insane as that is, I could see Kansas State losing to TCU, Oklahoma State, Texas, and Baylor. I could see that. I'm not picking that necessarily. Baylor would be the tough one for Kansas State right now. That's the one you need the most help from.
Yeah.
Is Kansas State getting 4 losses.
Yeah.
And as long as I don't need to have Oklahoma State get 4 losses, one team being in the 1-1 seed, that helps us for the number 2 seed, for who they have left.
And how do you get TCU with, I guess you're going to have them with 3 losses and
they're going to have 3 losses with Tech being one of those 3 losses.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
But again, the 2 things that starts off, Tech and Oklahoma State need to win out the rest of the year.
I mean, you do look at this, schedule as you're kind of looking at it now, and when you look at it, doesn't seem quite as imposing, although, Baylor's going to be a tough out, obviously, at TCU. I'll just be real curious what the state of Oklahoma is by the time the Red Raiders play them. Have they packed in the season, or have they figured out a way to rebound and salvage their season?
I think by then the state of Oklahoma will still be filled with crazy people.
Okay.
That was me I was trying to be funny, Jay. I'm sorry.
8:10 this morning here on the morning drive. I'm just focusing on listening. I'm giving it great effort.
That's good.
You've been listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.